Begin tonight with Florida, which I would argue, even with Texas existing, has emerged as the modern state in this country that comes the closest to a modern-day version of Jim Crow. Now, just hear me out.
Joy Reid. Hi, everybody. Auntie speaks. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm. Gets me out to more people. We're going to look at someone who I consider a racist. I do. And we're going to listen to her talk about how Florida has reinstated Jim Crow. Let's take a look at that.
Has emerged as the modern state in this country that comes the closest to a modern-day version of Jim Crow. Now, just hear me out. If there is a state that better exemplifies the rot of MAGA Republican rule than the state of Florida that the governor has named in very Orwellian fashion the free state of Florida, I honestly don't know where it is. Don't know what it is.
The rot? The rot? I don't know. I live in one of the kookier states, and I wish I lived in Florida. I can't stand the heat down there. It gets too hot in the summer, but I don't know. There's a lot of people moving to Florida, Joy. Lots and lots of people. And you're making fun of the free state label, free state? Yeah, there's a good reason why it was called a free state, because it was. You could do what you want. Florida governor basically said, look, I'm going to give you all the information and then you guys can do what you want. That's called freedom.
I mean, Florida has it all. A law banning gay people from declaring their existence at school. Teachers can actually get fired for it. A law against anti-racist policies at work, like you have to let the racism be in the workplace or else. Book bans and requirements for patriotic Christian education propaganda.
Wow. That diatribe went so fast, I actually had to write it all down. So let's see what she's complaining about. So law banning gay parents from noting their existence in schools. Seriously? Seriously? This is, of course, the quote unquote, don't say gay bill. Remember when I told you that Democrats are really, really good at politics? They're really, really good at it. They come up with a catchy phrase, which either demonizes what your opponent is doing or glorifies what they're doing. And 9 times out of 10, the label that they've picked has absolutely nothing to do with what the bill or legislation actually is. Like the Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, literally, 1984, hi, yeah, thanks. And the Don't Say Gay bill. You mean the Parental Rights in Education bill? Well, it says it right here. This bill refuses to allow school boards and teachers, unions, the ability to hide information about students from their parents. I think that's rather reasonable. No, schools, you can't hide information about their little chitlins from parents. If little Billy comes to school and says, I'm Sarah, you can't, magically change that kid's name to Sarah when they're 5 years old and not tell the parents. I think that's rather reasonable. Okay, let's go on. In addition, it prohibits classroom discussion in grades K through 3 on gender, orientation, and sexual identity. That's grade 3. What is that? Age 10? Age 11? Yeah. Kids don't need to talk about that type of stuff. They're still learning their ABCs, 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4. Yeah, they don't need to know their queer teacher's personal life. They don't need to know that. I think that's rather reasonable. Let's move on. Okay. Anti-racist policies at work. Let the racists run. Now, this was news to me. I did not know that Ron DeSantis was a complete and utter racist, and he had passed policies so that the racists could do whatever they want at the workplace. Oh, yeah. Of course, the legislation that he signed had absolutely nothing to do with it. Let's look. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 7 to give businesses, employees, children, and families tools to stand up against discrimination and woke indoctrination. The bill includes provisions to prevent discrimination, instruction in the workplace and in public schools, and defines individual freedoms based on the fundamental truth that all individuals are equal before the law and have inalienable rights. This legislation is the first of its kind in the nation to take on both corporate wokeness and critical race theory in schools. Okay, Joy, stop acting like this isn't a thing. We've all seen the videos coming out of Coca-Cola and AT&T. I'm really lucky. I work for a very, very large company, but they haven't gone as woke as the other ones. I have not had to sit in to, hey, you're a white person, you're racist, or at least I haven't yet. But that is happening all across the country. Corporations are forcing you to sit into sessions where they say, hey, you're white, you're heterosexual, you're Christian, you're bad, you're inherently bad. And then they segregate those spaces and they put a bunch of minorities in another room and say to them, hey, that white person over there, they're bad. That's what he made illegal. You know what? I think that's rather awesome. Well, you didn't make it illegal because we do have freedom of speech, but it gives them protections to fight against it. I don't know. This seems rather American. Okay, let's go on. What was this? Patriotic public education system that you have to teach patriotic public education. Well, let's see this. Someone put together a rather helpful, sort of graphic on this bill, this number 7 bill. So what does it include? History of the United States, including the Holocaust and African American history. That's great. I think we should teach that. Study of Hispanic and women's contribution to the United States. I think that's great. I think we should include that. Civics, character, and mental health education. Well, hey, we need way more of that. Students are woefully ignorant of history. Woefully ignorant of history. If you've seen those man on the street videos where they're asking, high school students and college students just basic historical questions, they are lost. Conservation and natural resources. That sounds great. What it will not include: members of one race, color, national origin, sex, or that are morally superior. Hey, that sounds great. So you can't tell a classroom in Florida that white people control everything and white people are oppressing everybody. I think that's just great. A person by virtue of his race, color, national origin, or sex is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive. So you can't teach racism. You can't teach that men are bad, that men are inherently sexist. You cannot teach that white people are inherently oppressive. You can't teach that. I don't know. That sounds rather awesome, Joy. Everybody else, comment below why you think this is not awesome. I do have some people on the left-hand side who have watched my videos and I just love it. So comment below on why you think anything written here is not completely awesome and obvious. Let me know.
Of course, a concerted effort to make it as hard as possible for anyone who might vote for the out-of-power party, the Democrats, #Black people, to vote or to have representative districts. Florida's Jim Crow Redux governor, Ron DeSantis, even has his own Office of Election Crimes. Newly released and frankly disturbing video shows Tampa police back in August arresting people on charges of illegal voting in the 2020. Solid question posed by Tony Patterson, one of the 20 individuals with felony convictions arrested on charges of voter fraud, many of whom had no idea they were not allowed to vote. And to be clear, that is because Ron DeSantis and his Republican cronies in the state legislature have done everything in their power to reverse the clock back to the 19th century. In 2018, Florida voters overwhelmingly approved an amendment reversing one of several Jim Crow-era laws in southern states and restoring voting rights for those with a felony conviction, except those convicted of murder or of a felony sex offense. More than 1 million Floridians got their right to vote back. But in 2019, the Republican state legislature stepped in and passed legislation requiring those citizens to pay associated fees or fines before regaining their voting rights. Basically, a big fat poll tax, which, of course, DeSantis happily signed into law.
Really? Jim Crow? Jim Crow. Let's forget the fact that Jim Crow was put in place by Democrats in control of the South. Let's ignore that. But I really, really hate when Democrats do this. They take things from the past and they use it against their current opponents. And the stuff that they're comparing from the past was usually really, really bad. Okay? It's the reason why the term racist doesn't mean anything anymore. If you were a racist back in the 60s, you were a racist. You were a very, very bad individual. But you hear the term racist now, and you pretty much know, oh, so it's just a person you don't like? It's a person whose political opinions don't like? That's the racist? So racist means nothing. They did the same thing with rape. Back when I was young, when someone was raped, you're like, oh my God, she was raped? That is so terrible. Now when you hear rape, be honest, put a comment below. Do you secretly in your mind go, well, did the girl just change her mind the next day and claim rape? Are you telling me that doesn't go through your mind at all? Because rape doesn't mean what it used to be. It doesn't. Now you can have a drunk college student, a drunk male college student, and a drunk female college student. And the female college student was, had a boyfriend. So the next day, she accused that person of rape to cover her rear end. That's an actual situation that happened. Okay? So they're doing the exact same thing here. Jim Crow, that was some serious stuff. That was some serious stuff. You're comparing Jim Crow to it's illegal if you're a felon to vote? I don't know. I think we have a contract in our society which says, look, you gotta play by the rules. And if you break those rules, there's consequences. Number one, you go to jail. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that. We don't put people in jail anymore. We let them out as soon as we arrest them. And you might lose your right to vote. Okay? Yeah? You might lose your right to vote. You commit a felony, yeah, you might lose your right to vote. That is not the same as Jim Crow. And I am a proponent that, yes, we need to start putting people in jail or fining them for voting illegally. Anybody on the right or anybody on the left. But Joy, give me a break. We all know that most of the voter fraud is on the left. Yeah. I'm going to do a video just on voter fraud. Past voter fraud, past, not 2020. 2020 was completely clean. There was absolutely no shenanigans whatsoever. But I've got several really good examples from the past to show you. That's not saying people on the right don't cheat. They do. We have to make it as difficult as possible not to cheat. Okay, so this is getting a little long, so I'm going to wrap this up. Okay, Joy Reid, you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous, and I truly believe that you are a racist. The stuff that you say on your program on a daily basis, there's no other way but to call it racist. And I'm going to call you that because you feel free to call anybody you disagree with a racist. And to take these bills and what Florida is doing and calling it racist is just flat out and utterly dishonest. No, it's past dishonest. It's lying. You are lying to your audience and you're a disgusting person. Okay? Okay? Let me know if you guys agree. You let me know what you think of Joy Reid. I don't like her. Yeah. So thank you. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video. We'll see you in the next one.